I can't believe I'm going to give this any time. When I set these shows up, I go, all right, I'm going to give it 5 minutes. I'm going to give it 10 minutes. I'm going to give it 20. And then it usually goes a lot longer than that. This one, I just did one and I recorded the whole thing, 25 minutes. I'm not going to spend 25 minutes on this guy. I can't do it. Listen, folks, just because something horrible happens, it doesn't mean that there's a massive conspiracy. Things happen. They're unexplained. Palestine, Ohio. Don't you remember? Oh, it's the government. It's Joe Biden. You're trying to poison the water table so they kill the people in the Midwest. Come on. You can't focus on the actual idiocy of burning it and turning it into like a sooty / solid state vinyl that poisoned the atmosphere and killed fish. That's not bad enough. It's got to be something nefarious, right? You can't focus that Pete Buttigieg didn't show up for 2 weeks, that Joe Biden still hasn't shown up. You can't focus on that, but you got to focus on it's a government plant. Trust the plan. It's the New World Order. Come on. BlackRock. These companies all suck, right? WEF, World Economic Forum, okay? The Davos Focus. Schwab. Soros. Okay, the Koch brothers are just as bad. There are plenty of Republicans who are just as rich, just as nefarious as these people. I understand everybody wants to assign Dr. Evil to everything, but folks, it just didn't happen. I remember Hurricane Harvey. I lived through it. I was at the epicenter of it. We were all there underwater. The bands of the hurricane to the inner inland areas that were 50 miles off the center, those got just absolutely destroyed with water. I'll show you some photos. Here they are. You can see 25, 30 feet areas that are completely underwater. All 4 exits from out of our house, we were trapped. There was water all around us. We had a reservoir that was millions upon millions of gallons that was just teetering on the edge of coming over, less than 100 feet from our house. Terrifying stuff. But you know what? Nobody said there was a spy satellite that seeded a hurricane in the Gulf and made it stop going 2 miles an hour, spinning over Houston for a better part of 5 days. I mean, it was like Noah's Ark personified. I was expecting to see zebras and other wildlife floating by at some point, asking us to get on the raft. Folks, nobody said that. We got blankets together. We got food together. We donated everything we had: hairspray, toothbrush, toothpaste, apple cider, the corn candy from Halloween left over from 5 years before. Whatever it was, we grabbed it. We put it in boxes and we dropped it off at churches. When the water receded, we donated everything we could, our time. We got out on our personal boats, whether it be a canoe or an actual fishing vessel, and went out and saved people. Nobody said anything. Nobody looked up at the sky and said, damn you, World Economic Forum. Damn you, weather-seeding satellites, contrails in the sky. They were holding loved ones. They were holding pets and animals that didn't make it. They were trying to find loved ones who were washed away from the water. Nobody said that this was a government conspiracy and a land grab for someone to relocate the Los Angeles Lakers to Houston or some crap. You can't believe the stories we're hearing. You can't believe the things that are out here in the Twitterverse and in Facebook and the podcasts I'm listening to. And I see these people and I'm like, how do you have so many followers? Why do people listen to you? I understand why people don't listen to me because I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but at least I give you the honest truth. I don't sit here and BS you and make this sound like the National Enquirer. There's no fact. It's all supposition. There's nothing real about these sites. You don't believe me? First, let's talk about Maui. In case I was disconnected this weekend. I was absolutely unplugged. On August 8th, 2023, we all saw the fires. They ignited on Maui Island in Hawaii. I had no idea until almost Sunday morning. It unleashed destructive wildfires that have consumed thousands of acres of land. It's second none but to the California fire that happened a few years back. Fires have posed grave threat to homes, businesses, and the lives of more than 35,000 individuals. Among the severely impacted areas is the historic town of Lahaina. It suffered significant damage. Tragically, 53 are dead, and they're going to find more. And they excavate the ruins and go through the rubble and everything that's left over. This will probably be the largest death toll of a fire ever when it comes to a wildfire or town or city or something to that effect. It's horrible. But when they say when there's blood in the streets, buy real estate, and trust me, people are buying plenty of real estate. This gentleman, who I happen to follow on Twitter, and the reason why is because I always like to know where I'm at when it comes to my BS detector. This gentleman is called the Patriot Voice. And you want to believe him because this is the Patriot's voice. This is the guy who speaks for you and me when we're not able to. So what is his tweet? This tweet. What you are not being told about the wildfires in Maui with 3 sirens, not 2, not 1, but 3. So immediately it's important. And I want to know what I'm not being told. So I'm going to go ahead and follow through with this. Folks, this has millions of views. So if you sit here and say, oh, this is one lone nut. Well, so is Harvey Oswald. Okay. So is Sirhan. Now, I'm not calling this guy an assassin. What I'm saying is one person can make massive change. Adolf Hitler comes to mind. TPV is not Adolf Hitler. What I'm saying is one person can make monumental change. Trust me when I say that, because we have examples throughout history of this. Now, is this post fairly benign? No, it's not. I think it's malignant. I think it's damaging. I think it puts out information out there that is 100% bunk, and he can do this. This is essentially the National Enquirer, and he knows it's not true. He knows it's not real. This is a smart guy, but he continues to do it because it gets him clicks and he gets paid for it. And that's really the whole phenomenon that we've seen for the 2016 and beyond. Is whether it's the stolen election, or whether it's Stormy Daniels and P tapes, or whether it's stolen documents, or whether it's something with a Chinese balloon, or it's Palestine, Ohio, or Ukraine. There is disinformation out there of epic proportion, and it really truly has started with COVID as well. This has just made people insane, that they're looking for some answers, that they will keep going to this poisoned well. Here is the paragraph that caught my attention. There is a coordinated, all in caps, makes it very official, effort to destroy the island of Maui using direct energy weapons to build a WEF smart city in its place that is governed completely by artificial intelligence. The U.S. Virgin Islands aren't enough. You don't think we could have went down to Fiji or somewhere and taken the thousands upon thousands of islands down there and done this? What about Puerto Rico? You think that would have been okay? U.S. Virgin Islands, like I said, that's not okay. What about Oahu? How about the Channel Islands off the coast of California? We can't do it there. We have to kill and destroy billions of dollars and take the lives of people and have them literally float in the water for hours, jumping into the ocean so they're not burned alive, in order to create this smart city, huh? Maui is the best place. It makes a lot of sense. He says, I have held my tongue about the wildfires happening in Lahaina, Maui. I wanted to do some digging into this situation, then present to you the truth as best I can. One thing I can say for sure, there's no doubt in my mind, it's 100%, with no equivocation, absolutely sure, is that you are not being told the truth about what is happening there. There are a massive number of inconsistencies, red flags, and things that just make no sense at all, because fires make sense, folks. Hurricanes make sense. Dropping a bomb in Japan, it just makes sense. It's just good sense, folks. We always have to have things make sense. Crop circles, they make sense. Bigfoot makes sense. Man-loving lesbians make sense. 466 bookmarks, 3,200 likes, 95 quotes, 1,400 reposts. It's in the millions. He says the most glaring thing that doesn't make any sense is the fact that there are still a lot of trees and buildings still standing. Normally, when there are actual wildfires, so he's now saying the fires don't exist, you will see most of all the trees collapse from the fires in rows. No, that's not true at all. That's a complete blatant lie. Says the same is true for a lot of buildings and cars on the island. The damage pattern is more akin to a huge directed series of bombs rather than a wildfire. Okay, so let's break this down. First of all, when you have a fire, look at all those trees. Yeah, look, there's still buildings. There's cars that are on fire. There are rocks that don't have scorch marks. You want to know why? because there's an 80-mile-an-hour wind. There was a hurricane, and the prevailing winds were blasting through Hawaii. Anyone who's lived in Hawaii ever understands this, that it gets windy in Hawaii. It gets windy in a lot of places, but specifically in the Pacific. You have the Alaskan blasters come down. You have El Nino come up. You have warm waters from the Gulf come up and from the side of Mexico and Baja, and you get massive amount of wind. Well, this happens in Hawaii too. But wait a second, why aren't all these trees burned? Why aren't these signs melted off? It's a fast-moving fire, folks. This particular area was extremely fast-moving. This thing moved from point A to point B in 30 to 45 minutes, and people were out of their homes. You can have residual brush burn and have this fire blow across. Prevailing winds can carry ash and other things to ignite it in other places. Buildings are easier to consume in a fire than a tree. A tree is round and dense. It's got foliage. It saps water from the ground. Its internal core is moist and wet. Usually what makes a tree explode or a tree catch on fire is the sap inside. Once that ignites, that tree's gone forever, and it will core out and can explode. I saw them happen in the Hayman fire when my father and I were surrounded in a forest. Look it up. In Colorado, in Pine Junction, as tens and hundreds of thousands of acres were on fire, and we had nothing but a well that had gone out because electrical power had gone out, 2 shovels, and some fireman jackets from my dad's fire captain days. We were idiots. Somehow we survived because a slurry bomber hit us around 1 a.m. in the morning, and we were okay. But those trees were exploding, propane tanks going off. There were buildings, there were homes. People sued the fire department because their home is now sitting on acres and acres of mountain that's completely black, and their home wasn't burnt because the fire department saved them. Some houses were untouched at all by nobody saved them. Maybe it was an act of God. Maybe it's just that the fire is chaotic and it indiscriminately kills whatever it wants, and sometimes it doesn't. You can't explain these things, but trees being reduced to cinder, no, that's not true. These are sporadically placed trees. It's spread out. This is a city. There's gaps in the fuel source for the fire. And if it doesn't jump properly, it will literally just move to the next victim. Its easiest choice is the path of least resistance, just like most things in nature, like water and wind. It's not hard to explain, unless you're a conspiracy guy. There are reports of people reporting embers falling from the sky, setting things on fire, yet only in certain areas. Yeah, once again, because they're embers. They're not embers controlled by artificial intelligence. They have no wanton pattern. They go by the winds. Anyone who lived in the Pacific Northwest during Mount St. Helens, like we did, saw ash and embers the closer you were. Washington, there were small fires in forests because of the embers coming out. It was in Oregon. It was in Northern California. Anybody went through the California fires like I did. Folks, I've been through a lot of natural disasters, and I will tell you, embers absolutely can happen 30, 40, 50 miles away from the epicenter of a major fire, and they create small pockets of fire everywhere. This isn't anything new. For example, the homes of billionaires Oprah, Bezos, Bill Gates, and Lady GaGa, who have mega homes, are just totally unscathed. Yes, and there's also hundreds of thousands of other locations that were unscathed. It's not like a fire literally burned the entire island of Maui. Can we understand what actually took place here? Can we try to fathom that there were 3 fires spread out, and those fires were immense in the pocket that they enveloped? But I seriously once again doubt that Oprah and Lady GaGa and Bezos' homes were spared simply because the embers decided to go ahead and take out the poor. Come on, folks. It says, why are these wildfires just starting on a whim randomly? Because that's how wildfires start. If we could predict when they happen, we wouldn't let them happen, don't you think? For many years, the ultra-rich who live on the island, including many celebrities who also happen to be on the list of those who attended Epstein's Island. Oh, my Lord. I thought they didn't release the list. Is this the list of like 95 names that's been fake? It's been going around for 4 years because the real one hasn't been released? Come on, people. Look at this guy. Remember this turtle? Remember the turtle guy who did the meme, started crying at the state fair? I think that's him grown up. But his comment is, Hawaii truth bomb will surface. Oh, come on. He says, I think what is really going on here is a well-organized and thought-out massive land grab. Yes, it's a massive land grab to destroy a place that sees 2 million visitors annually, that generates billions of dollars in revenue, to take billions of dollars in damage, to scorch the earth that will literally take 20 years to repair. You can seed all the plants you want, but when you burn it at that magnitude, at that heat, down to the soil, the water tables, the pools of water collected in that area will be poisoned. Fish will die. Wildlife will die. This will have an ecological impact for decades. Anyone who, I went up to Colorado where we live with the Hayman fire 25 years later, and it's just literally starting to look normal again. It was scorched earth for so long. Folks, this is ridiculous. Why would you destroy something like this? It's going to take decades. What sense does this make? Those people that you listed can afford to make their own island. They can make one. Give me a break. In July of this year, there was an executive order signed by the governor of Hawaii stating that they could take away land from occupied inhabitants if they deemed it necessary for them to rezone. Yeah, it's called Imminent Domain. And different laws change. And no, it's not cool. They did it to my well over. Folks, it's amazing. I got real world examples. Our well on our property, all of our neighbors flipped out and they were upset and they wanted to fight this thing. And in the end, we knew we would lose if we fought this water table, this well that is going to populate other towns with water. We didn't want the trucks coming in and out. We didn't want to see the concrete monstrosities being built in a wildlife reserve. We're not liberals, but we just like to drink our coffee and look at it and imagine us shooting the deer that go by. We didn't want it, but we were going to lose it. We couldn't fight it. It's what happens. Just because one thing leads to another doesn't necessarily make it so, folks. That's not the way the world works. You can't go ahead and tie these threads together as far apart as they are and call it a sweater. You're literally grasping at straws. Last, it says, to add to the point above, the wildfires happening in Canada, interestingly, have a lot of the same characteristics. Yeah, they do. And people showed me pictures of those where there's 7 or 8 plumes of smoke where they all started sporadically. It's called lightning strikes. There was no lightning in the area. You're wrong. It didn't rain. You don't need rain to lightning and thunder. Anybody who's in Arizona in monsoon season knows that you get lightning and thunderstorms that are all within area and you don't see a drop of rain until you do. Lastly, it's very interesting and eye-opening to note, did you know, as far back as 2018, the World Economic Forum came out with an article stating that Hawaii would be the first U.S. state to run entirely on green energy? Yeah, it's because it's small. And they have to have secondary energy sources because they're off the mainland. And they don't have the frickin' real estate to go ahead and put giant nuclear reactors there. Folks, can we, look at this. Look at these videos. How come every one of these videos is shaking and done with a high-8 camera from 1980? No phone acts this way anymore. Can we stop? Lives were lost. It's unexplainable. It's unfathomable. It's horrible. But there's people looking for their pets. There's people looking for their loved ones. Homes are burnt to the ground. They're never going to be the same. Nobody's going to want to move back in there. Forever changed. And just because it doesn't make sense doesn't mean we need to make up stories. It doesn't mean that we have to have solutions to all questions. Sometimes maybe we don't get the answer. Maybe the answer is, instead of using your ability to influence people, how about you ask for donations? How about you create a GoFundMe? How about you go through the things in your house and send it off to these people that need it? But creating clickbait so you make money, it's not the answer. And we're not going to find the answers here. And with all due respect to TPV, the Patriot's Voice, you don't speak for me. And you don't speak for millions of Americans. And you certainly don't speak for the people in Maui. You're doing nothing but creating vitriol and conjecture and supposition. It's worthless. How about you do this? How about you do something extraordinary? You obviously are a talented guy. You obviously have a good mind. Maybe you should put it to good use. That's all I got tonight, folks. Sorry, I don't mean to traipse on other people's good day. But I read this stuff every day, and I had to say something. Thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me show tonight. If you like what you heard and you like what you saw and all that other stuff, please stop by again tonight at 8 o'clock. Olivia and I will be on. We'll do a live show. You can also go to thedumshow.com, pick up a hat, t-shirt. But don't today go and donate money to Maui. Whether it's the Red Cross, I wouldn't necessarily look at smaller places. See if Team Rubicon's doing things. See if veteran-based organizations are over there doing and raising money. Don't necessarily just go to the Red Cross. I'm going to give you multiple places to look and go to, and I'll edit it in the video. But I will look and see which veteran-based companies are over there. Do the ones that actually do good. The Red Cross isn't always the first choice. Thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me show. I will see you tonight at 8 o'clock. God bless, and have a good one, and take care of each other, and stop writing this crap. Good night.
I'm David Boreanaz with the Cast SEAL team, and we have an important message for returning vets.
We want you to know if you're struggling to cope, there's help and it's just a phone call away.
The Veterans Crisis Line is staffed with experienced professionals who know your struggles.
There's no greater sacrifice in service to our country. We're able to enjoy our freedoms because of it.
Your service is important, you are important.
For vets and their families, the Veterans Crisis Line is here to help 24 hours a day. Please call